Hello, everybody. Ella J here on behalf of SEScoops. And today I am joined by the coolest wrestler you will ever meet, Lady Frost. So, how are you doing today?
That's me. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fantastic to be speaking with you ahead of the first ever NWA All Women's pay-per-view. But before we get into that, obviously, this past year, really 18 months, I would say, has been absolutely insane. So how have you been able to maybe stay positive or sane throughout this last year of craziness in the world?
Um, I'm fortunate. I have a great husband. We adopted two poochies, the proper poochies. So they added to the madness early on, but now they're definitely a blessing. But fitness and health was always a priority. So, you put that first and try to stay grounded and level and just prioritize, I guess, what's important and what matters.
Now you talk about fitness. I know earlier this year you weren't teaching fitness classes anymore, but you were going back to personal training full time. Does that status still stand?
That's correct. I don't know about full time,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
I'm at the gym often. I have a good handful of personal training clients still, but no group fitness classes. Those are very taxing on your body. And, I don't have the time and energy for that anymore right now.
Fair enough. You were doing a lot. You're literally popping up everywhere. And that's just in wrestling alone. That doesn't even count everything else you're doing on the side. And plus, being a full-time pet owner too is a lot of work too. I have two cats, so I understand that too. But I want to know, as somebody, I honestly have not been active since college, since the beginning of college, so really 5 or 6 years. So what do you think is your biggest tip or advice that you would give to beginners who are maybe hoping to improve their health?
So there are numerous ways to go about it, right? There's not just one method, one exercise, one form. Fads come and go, trends come and go. But as far as food, I say if it comes from the earth, it's good for you. If it's chemically processed, it's in a can, bag, freezer, whatever, it's not great. If it grows on the earth, you're doing all right. And as far as workouts go, I think whatever makes you happy, because you're meant to reward your body, not punish it. So if you feel like I hate this so much, or I'm being punished when I work out, then it's not the workout for you. I'm not a runner. I hate running. I will find other forms of cardio. Some people like to swim. They want to bike. They want to do CrossFit. They want to do HIIT training, whatever it is. You have to kind of find something that still works for you, that you can challenge yourself, but you're not punishing yourself.
True. So what are some of the things maybe on your off days that you will maybe sneak in?
You mean treats?
Maybe.
So popcorn is a standard treat in our house for movie nights. I'm not big on cookies. That's more my hubby, but I'll have one. He can have like 15. It's wild. I'm the chips and dip kind of person. Like I'll do all natural chips with like spinach artichoke or buffalo chicken dip, or we have like cauliflower dips that are a little better for us. But yeah, I like the salt.
No, I'm not one who has ever actually, I don't think, tried like all natural chips, but I'm looking to expand that. So what are some of your recommendations for all natural foods, maybe just in the general scope?
Right now we do most of our shopping at Aldi. Okay. And Aldi has a lot of good brands and good prices too, but I like that we can find almost everything there in one place. But they have like a fit and active brand, an organic all natural brand. So whatever's kind of there, and they do like seasonal things. So, basic beach season is coming, pumpkin, everything. They have like the best, the best seasonal pumpkin things at Aldi.
I'm ready for fall, but we will talk about that in a bit, actually. But talking about you being physically active, I feel like you've been physically active pretty much your whole life, or maybe obviously with dance and gymnastics and personal training and powerlifting and wrestling, of course. So do you think that those physical abilities came naturally to you, or was it through the reps that you got to that point, or maybe a combination of both?
Probably both, but the first time I saw someone do a cartwheel, I started doing them everywhere, like down the grocery store aisles. It was just, I wanted to do that. So I definitely was very gifted early on. I didn't understand that as a child. Like I excelled. more than others. But, you know, it wasn't always a competition for me when I was younger. It was just like, oh, cool, I'm good at this.
Fun,
great.
Yeah.
And you're performing at 2 levels above where your age group should be. And I was just like, whatever. But yeah, definitely gymnastics is very rigorous. It's the most intense training and conditioning ever. I don't think people realize the hours of conditioning alone. And we're going 4 hours a night, 4 days a week, competitions on the weekend, all season long. There was no off season. So it really set up wrestling training a little bit easier for me. Wrestling training felt like almost nothing compared to
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
At least back then. But
yeah,
you know, I'm not a teenager anymore, so my body doesn't recover the same way.
What is the recover process like between comparing gymnastics to maybe your first few months or even year in wrestling? How would you describe the contrast between the recover process between both of them? I'm really curious.
So I started gymnastics when I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
So like 6, 7, who knows what that recovery process is, because your body just builds and builds and builds and it adapts. And I didn't really go through any like huge injuries.
That's good.
Yeah. So now recovery is just, for us, we do a plethora of things. If it's cryotherapy, if it's massages, acupuncture, dry needling, laser therapy, really any and everything that we can do to recover. And sleep and water are very important.
Of course, too, especially staying hydrated in the humid months of the year, which I'm personally not a fan of. But yeah, that's just me, maybe. But talking about cooler times, your moniker also dictates that you are the coolest wrestler one could meet. But for you, who has been the coolest person you've met within the professional wrestling community?
Oh, the coolest how? I'll have to take like an easy pass here and go with Uncle Mick Foley. He's been the most gracious, the most kind, the most chill, and we have a good rapport with him. He actually married us, so he's definitely been at the top of the list of coolest.
Now, how and when did you even get introduced to Mick Foley?
So it was a show in West Virginia, I believe, and he was like a special guest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget, I was coming off of a WWE tryout and I was like really bummed and really like hating everything because, you know, get more experience email. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, I don't even want to do this. I was like just in a terrible mood driving to the show. And I was in Gorilla and he was standing there and he just like looked me up and down and was like, what is this? So he asked me about my name, the gimmick, the character, everything. And he was like, can I introduce your match? And I was like,
yeah.
Like, why are you asking me? So long story short, it went from him asking if he could introduce the match. Then it was like a whole segment. And mind you, this is in Gorilla. In like 4 minutes, we were putting this together and I feel awful. Like my opponent's just standing there like, what the heck? We're just changing everything. We had like a whole freeze spot in there. So everything really like turned for me in that moment because it was fun. It was exciting. It was something new and the joy of pro wrestling, right? Like that genuine joy of those aspects. It's not about the moves or all that stuff. So that's how we met. And it was a 2-day show. And after it was over, he asked if he could get a picture with me. And then he said, hey, what do you think we do this again tomorrow? And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is great. So yeah, we did it again the next night with real snow because it was a legit blizzard outside.
My God. Yeah.
My hubby had snowballs rolled outside, in balls outside. So yeah, that was how it all started.
What a way. I think that is the most unique to really like, what's the word? Relate or come together like over everything, over snow essentially. Right. And then just so happen to meet in Gorilla. How cool is that?
Yes, wow. Very cool.
Wow. But you know, obviously I'm from the Northeast myself here in Buffalo. So does your affinity for the cold translate into real life as a woman from Pittsburgh, or do you prefer the warmer months?
Well, is this interview with Lady Frost? Because I'm just going to have to plead the fifth and say I love the cold.
Okay. 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 I do love the cold though too in real life too. Oh girl. She's like, no.
Lady Frost loves the cold.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. So Lady Frost is ready for the fall and winter then, right?
Yes. Lady Frost is ready for Alaska next week. I'm going to Alaska.
You're going to Alaska to St. Louis. Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's going to be a long flight. Do you know how?
Yes, it is. I'm going to be very tired. So bring me coffee. Anyone that's watching this, if you're gonna be in St. Louis, coffee.
I got you,
coffee.
girl. I got you. When I see you, how do you take your coffee though? That's the important question. I don't want to screw that up.
Black and generally like a sugar-free syrup, vanilla syrup, caramel, but yeah, no cream, no real sugar.
Okay, I got you, girl. I got you. Now, I mean, talking about NWA, a lot has been happening for you this year, really throughout the last 6 months plus. But one thing we obviously have to talk about is your work with NWA, where you were recently invited to their first ever all women's pay-per-view Empowerrr, which is coming up on Saturday, August 28th. So just in a general scope, what does this opportunity mean to you to be part of history or herstory in the NWA?
Yes. So I think it's insanely rewarding to have an opportunity where you get to pull the history of the past and create like a legacy of history in the future. And you literally can feel all of this changing and happening right before our eyes. And it's an honor, obviously, to be asked to do this. I'm so excited, especially to be in this gauntlet style match. That's like, I think the coolest part of all of this, to be in like a rumble situation almost, and main eventing nonetheless, which is wild. And with people that I adore and love and, you know, also want to beat and win. But I think it's a really, really great thing that Mickey's is doing, honestly. And she's making her mark in wrestling the right way, the best way. And she's carrying this into the future. And I hope that it is a yearly thing. And I think that it does change people's perspective on a lot of women in the industry.
I think the hope is it for it to be a yearly thing. I think obviously NWA, or at least I hope, they're looking to expand their women's roster. Obviously right now you were a part of it, but they're bringing in a lot of other outside people as well that I am super stoked about. But you talk about Mickie James, and she is really spearheading this Empowerrr pay-per-view as the executive producer. So as somebody who's obviously gone backstage and you're familiar with the NWA atmosphere, what are your thoughts on this Mickie James basically just leading the charge in the whole backstage process of just putting this all together before we even talk about the event?
I bet it's probably going to be a great atmosphere. I've been in all female locker rooms, and there have been other events, right, that are all women streamed, and it gets a little, you know, but I think this is very different. We all have really positive intentions, and, you know, as much as it's a competition at the end of the day, I think we're really all working together to make a statement. And I think she's not going to allow any of that outside interference really to interfere with the message, the purpose of this event. And I think that's everyone's mindset right now, and we're all just honored to be a part of it.
Of course. And, you know, initially you were invited, but then it was confirmed that you will be a part of the main event, the first ever NWA Women's Invitational. So it's one thing to be invited, but what were your initial thoughts when you got confirmation that not only are you on the card, Lady Frost, but you're in the freaking main event in this invitational?
I have chills right now, like legit. I know I have to play it cool all the time. And
nah.
You know, there are definitely moments where I'm just like, freak out a little bit, right? Like it's a big deal. It has to be a big deal. And if it's not, then it doesn't matter to you. So I think anyone that plays it off like, oh yeah, it's the freaking main event of the first ever NWA all women pay-per-view. I think it's, I don't know. It's surreal. It's hard to put into words because I don't think we know yet the ripple that it's going to cause in the future. I think it's that first stone dropping in, and hopefully it ripples far and wide for sure.
And again, like in this main event, it is a gauntlet style matchup with so many amazing competitors, and still at the time of recording this, 2 slots open. We also have like Masha Slamovich, we have Bianca Corelli, we have Debbie Malenko making her return to the ring for the first time in a while, and so many other amazing competitors. So how do you actually mentally and physically prepare for such a demanding match stipulation, though? Like this is a very unique gauntlet style match too, as well.
Right. So it's definitely a unique preparation. I feel like I myself know that I like to be in control of so many things. So one opponent is, you know, that one level of control. With 9 other competitors, I think, you know, you have to go in and do your research, but at the same time, you control yourself mostly, your emotions, your physical state, cardiovascular state, all of those things to help you outlast everyone else. It's really hard to, with so many variables and so many people, it's hard to prepare for that. I think if you over prepare, you psych yourself out.
Yeah, of course. And going in, especially to in such a high stakes, like high reward opportunity, and like the first ever main event for the all women's pay-per-view, it's a lot to take in mentally.
Keep it up.
Yeah, right. I think you'll be okay physically because you're very much in shape, but yeah, it's that the mental aspect of not psyching yourself out that I think, and just in general, like a lot of us, it makes you human, you know?
For sure.
But yeah, I am curious though, with this unique match stipulation, is there any other match stipulation that you'd like to tackle sometime that you haven't yet?
Probably a TLC match. I think that's the only one that I really like. I'm not one for death matches per se, but like a hardcore match, I think I've tampered like around the lines. We had a Heather Monroe and I had a match a few weeks ago that got a little crazy.
In Hurricane Pro?
Yes.
Yeah.
That one. Legos, a plastic horse, barricades, chairs. Yeah. It got a little wild. But I think a TLC match would be really fun.
You know what I really want to see you in? Like, we have Inferno matches, but as Lady Frost, you need to do like the exact opposite of that. I don't know what it would be called, whether it be like a frostbite match or I don't know, something like that. But I think honestly, you need to like, it's maybe it's just me fantasy booking, but I think it'd be really fun. I know real life isn't a big fan of snow, but it would work for Lady Frost, and you've worked with the real snowballs before, so
yes, it's definitely an option. Fantasy booking for sure.
That's so fun though. Like, I feel like we're such in a time of wrestling where we're seeing so many new things. Like you just said, you had Legos in a match,
right?
And I feel like this year, especially, we're seeing so many cool and exciting and new things in professional wrestling. And again, like this is a new thing for NWA. They're all women's pay-per-view, and going on into this invitational, if you win, you have a shot at the NWA Women's Championship the following night at the 73rd anniversary show. So what would it mean for you to potentially become the new NWA Women's Champion on a grand stage like that at 73?
Whew. I mean, that's the dream. That's the top goal. That's the focus in preparation. I think not a whole lot of people know, but my grandfather was a studio wrestler.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So after he passed, I think I really set different priorities for myself. And actually, NWA had called within a week of his passing, which was so wild to me because, you know, with the gymnastics background, I think there's a whole lot of gifs of me doing all of this acrobatic stuff. And I didn't really imagine myself being a good fit with NWA with the traditional feel. But my character is very traditional. I love promos. And I think it created like a different work habit in me. So it's less acrobatics and more true work. And it's a studio style. And I absolutely loved it when I was there. And I think it really fit. And something in me said, you know, this is pulling my history from my personal life into real life now. And man, would that be spectacular.
It would be so spectacular. Well, then again, you'd have to wrestle 2 nights in a row, but really what a moment. I think, especially for you, like just a sentimental moment too, as well. Like you have that feel good story. I will be there in person, and just know if you win like both times and you become the new champion, I'm probably going to be an emotional wreck. You know, it's just a really like sentimental and feel good story. So I will be rooting for you. I know a lot of people will be too as well. And it's going to be such a spectacular weekend, whatever the result though. But that's cool. You get to be like a part of history, same as your grandfather was, right?
Yes, for sure.
Oh man, that's so special though. But I mean, you talk about this NWA Women's Championship match also taking place at Empowerrr between the champion Camille and AEW's legit Layla Hirsch. So if you were a betting woman, Lady Frost, who do you predict as the winner of this matchup?
I think pressure creates unpredictable behaviors. And I think it's hard to understand who can deal with this type of pressure better. I'm not super familiar with both of them. I haven't wrestled either of them individually. I've shared locker rooms with both of them in different places. I would think that Camille would have the advantage, just being, you know, the new champ. You want to hold on to that. And I think that she still has something to prove. And she's made a fantastic champion already. I think her posture as a professional wrestler and performer is outstanding. So I might have to give her home field advantage.
Okay. Well, you heard it here first. Now, also on this Empowerrr card is the Knockouts champion, Deonna Purrazzo, who you competed against in your Impact debut last month, which I can't believe it was only last month. Like, it feels like forever ago now at this point, but it was just last month. So I'm curious, do you have any certain takeaways from your experience in Impact, or some things that you learned, or maybe from Deonna Purrazzo?
She's definitely incredible. She's a multi-sided threat. I don't think that she's one-dimensional at all. I think she's technically savvy and one of the best in the world right now, if not the best. So I would love to have a chance to wrestle her again. But she's making waves right now. Definitely. I loved my time at Impact as well. I think there's always something to learn from any locker room and any group of wrestlers at all. So, yeah, I think anyone that is challenging her in the future they got a tough task. I don't know if it's going to work out for them.
She did recently just become a Deonna 2 belts with the Reina de Reinas championship now, and also the Impact Knockouts championship, which will be defended at Empowerrr against Melina. So like you said, Melina has some stiff competition ahead of her, but don't count out the legend Melina either. That one for me is a toss-up because they're two amazing competitors.
Yes. I think Melina is a legend in her own right, and absolutely she has definitely a fair shake. But you know, I think Deonna just has the momentum right now. She has momentum.
There's a lot going into this weekend. But lastly, what are some of your plans for St. Louis besides wrestling on Empowerrr, of course, and potentially 73? Do you want to explore, or do you kind of want to take it easy otherwise, wrestling aside?
I am very chill when it comes to multiple days of wrestling at a time. I like to sleep. I like to relax and recover. I'll hit the gym. But sleep is so important to me. I'm not a stay out late and partier. I will hang out after a show if it's the last day of the show and celebrate. But as far as like in between shows, I'm all business.
Need some R&R, definitely, yeah. Right? Now, before I let you go, can you please tell the listeners where they can find you on all your social medias?
I have all my links at Real Lady Frost, and they will connect you to all of them.
I have Linktree, and it's super helpful too. So basically the same thing. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today at Lady Frost. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I sincerely can't wait to see you soon. We're literally coming up next week. Crazy.
I know.
Crazy.
I'll see you soon.
Gotta get through Alaska first, but
yes,
be safe on your flight and all of that. And thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
And don't forget to follow myself at It's Ella J on Twitter and SEScoops for more exclusive interviews. And I will be doing a lot of live correspondence on behalf of SEScoops at NWA Empowerrr, which maybe Lady Frost will meet again. So I look forward to seeing you soon. And again, I can't wait to watch history unfold before our eyes. And best of luck to you. Not that you need it, but in this amazing main event in the NWA Women's Invitational.
Thank you so much.